Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making this amazing German chocolate cake, and if you guys don't know what that is, it's just essentially a really nice rich chocolate cake with a pecan and coconut frosting. And I do have to say this is one of my family's favorite, so I just decided to share it with you guys. Anyways, let's get right into this recipe. So the first thing we want to do is start with our chocolate cake, and you guys, this recipe is going to move quite fast, so try to stick with me. Anyways, as you can see, I have here some chocolate, and I'm just going to melt it until it's all nice and smooth, just like that, and we want to set it aside to cool. And I have here a stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, and I'm going to add in my room temperature butter, and I just want to beat this up till it's nice and pale. That's our key, so we can add in our sugar. Just mix it till it's all nice and fluffy. In the meantime, we're going to get started with our wet ingredients. So I have here some coffee that's lukewarm, as well as some buttermilk. And make sure your coffee is lukewarm, so incorporate it better with your buttermilk. Anyways, as you can see, I'm just mixing that up till it's all nice and combined, and we want to set this aside. And moving on to our wet ingredients, as you can see, I have here a parchment paper in the bottom of my Sift. But you could just use a bowl. Anyways, what we want to sift is some cake flour, as well as some Dutch processed cocoa powder. Make sure it's unsweetened, like always. And we also want to sift some baking soda, baking powder, and a pinch of salt. And we just want to sift this till it's a nice fine powder. And this will just make it easier for us to incorporate to our cake. Anyways, moving back to our cake butter and sugar mixture, we want to scrape down the sides and add a splash of vanilla, as well as a room temperature egg, just like that. And we'll need 5 of them, but you do want to mix them separately into your butter sugar mixture, one at a time. As you can see, I added there my last egg, and we want to give it a good mix right before we scrape down the sides. And to this, we want to add in our cooled melted chocolate that we melted earlier, just like that. And if it's not cooled, it'll kind of seize in your chocolate in your butter, or turn hard. But we just want to mix that up, and now it's time to assemble our cake, or kind of mix in the wet ingredients and dry ingredients essentially. Anyways, so what we want to do is start off with with our flour mixture. You always want to start off with flour and end with flour. And we just want to beat up some of our flour mixture at first, and we want to scrape down the sides of the bowl. And we're also going to add in our liquid mixture, and we're just going to go alternating until we have nothing left. As you can see, we're all done with it, and I have your 3 cake pans lined and buttered, and I put a parchment paper circle on the bottom. Anyways, as you can see, this is our chocolate batter, cake batter. As you can see, it's all nice and rich and nice and incorporated with almost no lumps. Anyways, we're going to add this evenly. We're going to divide it evenly between our 3 cake pans. That make sure they're lined and buttered. Anyways, it's time for them to go into the oven. We want to bake these at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes, just like that. And this time may vary depending on your oven, but you know it's ready when a toothpick insert and it comes out clean. In the meantime, we're going to make our coconut pecan frosting. I have here some toasted pecans, and I'm going to chop them up with a serrated knife. We want to chop these up really nice and fine, and you could toast these in the oven or in a pan. Anyways, it's actually time to start the base of this frosting. So as you can see, I have here some evaporated milk, and I'm going to just add it into a pan, or you could use a medium saucepan. And to this, I'm going to add in some sugar, some granulated sugar. Make sure your heat is off while you're doing this. And to this, we're going to add in some egg yolks. Make sure they're 3 large egg yolks, just like that. And we're also going to need some unsalted room temperature butter, or it's fine if it's cold butter. It'll get melted anyways. And right before we turn on our heat, we want to give this a good mix and make sure it's all nice and incorporated. And now we're going to switch over to a whisk, and we want to whisk this and turn on our heat to a medium to high flame. And we want to mix this constantly so our egg yolks won't cook. And we want to let it boil for about 5 minutes and turn off the heat immediately. And that's when you want to add in your pecans, like you could see I'm doing there, or chopped pecans, and some shredded coconut. I'm using sweetened, but you could use unsweetened. And you can toast this, but I didn't do that in this case. And to this frosting, we want to let it cool for about an hour until it's nice and spreadable. And it's time to assemble our cake. As you can see, I have it there, some three parchment papers, like slits. And this is just so our actual display pan won't get dirty or won't have any crumbs. Anyways, as you can see, I added my first layer of my chocolate cake, and I'll spread a third of our coconut pecan frosting. Just spread it till it's nice and even, just like that. And to this, we're gonna add in our second layer. And don't forget, you guys, you can find this recipe and more details in the description down below, both in Spanish and English. Anyways, that's our second layer. And like I said, we want to add the other half of it, of our frosting, and just spread it until it's nice and even. And for our final layer, I just chose the one that's the flattest. And this layer is the final layer. And we won't have to frost this cake because it's kind of like a naked cake. But if you do want to frost it completely, I recommend doing less frosting in the center and also doubling this frosting recipe. Anyways, this final layer, I always like to take my time in it and make it really nice and smooth. And I just like to top it with some pecans. I have a question. Do you say pecans or pecans? Anyways, you could decorate it however you want. I just like doing this. It's really nice and simple. And I also like having my frosting peek out through the cake so your guests can know what they're getting inside your cake. Anyways, just take your parchment paper slit off, and you could see how that's a really nice, clean cake platter. And I just transferred it to my nice, tall cake platter, obviously. And this is it, you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. It was somewhat easy. It sounds really hard, but it's not as hard. And let me know if you try it. Let me know if you have questions in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment.